is now the stable and the staple energy event for the region, and this year it has broadened its focus to include agriculture, tourism, security, logistics, and more, while we continue to be a leader in environment, food security, and energy security. Ladies and gentlemen, Guyana's vision is to be a united country that places the well-being of its citizens and its natural environment above everything else. The vision of Guyana is to position our country to be a leader, a global leader on energy security, food security, and climate security. And so, throughout the duration of this conference this week, that will be the focus, the three essentials of ensuring the well-being of our people here, our people in the region, and the planet. And so, without further ado, we welcome our first speaker. We now welcome the Honorable Dr. Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And invite for remarks Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM, as we open the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo 2024.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to accept all protocols as established by our chairperson for this morning, or Mistress of Ceremonies, and say, ladies and gentlemen, in our Caribbean region, energy plays a critical role in development, enhancing social well-being and fostering economic stability. However, our region faces significant challenges to energy security. Hazards such as hurricanes and earthquakes affect electricity supply, leaving our communities without electricity, and pose significant threats to security and well-being. Many of our member states are struggling to replace outdated power plants and fragile electric grids. The heavy reliance on imported oil with its rising costs exacerbates our energy challenges. This has been made even worse by increasing geopolitical tensions which have affected prices. Despite these challenges, or perhaps because of these challenges, CARICOM member states have made strides in pursuing sustainable energy solutions as a matter of policy. We are seeing progress in key sectors such as power generation, transport, and infrastructure. It is projected that by 2050, the region will have transitioned from 19% electrification to 51%, underscoring our commitment to a just, equitable, and accelerated transition that leaves no one behind and safeguards our planet for future generations. CARICOM is actively working towards a more sustainable and resilient energy future by accelerating the deployment of renewable energy resources and fostering partnerships among member states. The increasing production of hydrocarbons in Guyana, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago presents opportunities to enhance energy security. It also presents opportunities for increased private and public investments in building social, economic, environmental, and climate resilience as the world transitions towards clean and renewable sources of energy. More than that, hydrocarbon producers in CARICOM, as exemplified by Guyana, as a whole, CARICOM committed to a development trajectory that prioritizes zero emissions, net zero emissions, in full recognition that we do not contribute in any significant way to climate change, even as we bear the more than proportional impact of climate change. The principle of the collective regional approach within the CARICOM energy policy encourages national action while facilitating exploitation of synergies that provide comparative advantages over individual country strategies. While each country has its own unique challenge, opportunities, and priorities, regional cooperation on energy leverages the sharing and exchange of critical information and experiences which are vital to success at the national level. Implementation of clean and renewable energy sources, along with smart, modern grids, can significantly improve the reliability of our energy systems. Accelerating the energy transition and energy system transformation are essential to increase the share of renewable energy, promote the use of cleaner fuels, and bolster resilience. Capacity building and access to emerging technologies will also help develop the energy potential in the region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, achieving our vision of a sustainable energy future in the Caribbean requires continued collaboration, integration, and investment. CARICOM's energy transition is strengthened by cooperative partnerships, including with international development partners who can play a crucial role with support through technical assistance, funding for sustainable energy projects, and critically, access to technology. Urgent action is imperative to ensure energy security and climate resilience, as without these, the region's development trajectory is at risk. CARICOM will therefore continue to enhance cooperation among member states through policy harmonization, regulatory reforms, and capacity building initiatives. This transition is essential to secure energy security, mitigate the impact of climate change, and foster economic growth and development in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, a conference such as these that brings the private sector, the public sector, energy focusing on agriculture, tourism, and all of the sectors that are critical to our economies is really important, and I therefore wish this meeting much success, much exchange of information, debate, and much good business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SG Dr. Barnett. We recognize the Honorable Stuart Young, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Honorable Antonio Almonte, Minister of Energy and Mines of the Dominican Republic. Let's give them a warm welcome. Yesterday we had the inaugural flight of Sky High Dominicana. It now joins 5 other airline connections that come to Guyana as we record significant visitor arrivals. Only last year we recorded over 319,000 persons visiting our country in 2023. The Honorable Philip Edward Davis, KCMP, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, sends his regrets for not being able to be with us this morning, but will be here this weekend. You're now invited to look to the screen for his remarks.
Fellow leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a pleasure to join you at this monumental conference focused on the future of energy in Guyana. I regret that I'm unable to join you in person today, but I hope my words can add to the fruitful discussion that is taking place. Here in the Caribbean, we lay claim to the oldest integration movement in the developing world. CARICOM was ahead of its time and continues to be a source of progressive policy making for the mutual advancement of member states. As small states, we have long recognized the need to work together, given our inherent vulnerabilities, be they environment, geopolitical, social, or economic. Our nations are set apart from larger states, not just by our unique cultures, but by the intrinsic characteristics which have made us resilient. Our economies tend to be open, thus we know how to navigate shocks. Our geographies tend to be disaster-prone, Hence, we know how to rebuild. And our people tend to be underestimated, so we know how to punch above our weight. Our region has taken adversity and turned it into strength. We have dared to evolve, and this, my friends, has enabled us to flourish. Guyana is transforming, and it is the metamorphosis which has brought forth new development pathways. With the discovery of offshore oil and gas reserves, rapid gains have been made in Guyana's GDP growth. For the past few years, Guyana's economy has enjoyed double-digit growth rates, outpacing the vast majority of global economies. In the land of many waters, we are witnessing a rising tide. Of course, this discovery has not come without its own issues for consideration. For example, the problem of export concentration persists across our region. Supply chain and logistical issues remain to be addressed, and geopolitical concerns have emerged. I was pleased to participate in fruitful negotiations this past December surrounding the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute held between President Ali and President Maduro, and generously facilitated by Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves. Peace, amid so much strife, looks to prevail. There's also the resistance of the global north to allowing new entrants into the global oil market, despite the fact that the global north has historically and currently benefits from their reserves of oil and other fossil fuels. We support Guyana in its quest to boldly fuel its industrialization on its own terms, according to the resources that the people of Guyana have been blessed with, provided the long-term plan for energy production also includes a meaningful effort to be responsible stewards of the environment. Guyana is forging its own path in the energy sector, as other small states in the Caribbean are also taking our unique steps toward energy security. Collectively, we are moving forward, but with fraternity comes responsibility. And so we must think hard about our duties in the midst of this rising tide. Our duties as states, as state leaders, and as citizens. We must think hard about how we preserve our economies, create opportunities for our people, and power our nations to success. We must consider the role that emerging technologies in renewable and sustainable energy can play in providing stable and affordable power generation for our people, especially against the backdrop of climate change. Considering our vulnerability as island and coastal nations, we must lead the way in embracing clean energy. I believe it is possible to achieve this objective while also respecting the fact that each CARICOM nation has its own unique energy reality that necessitates different approaches. Ultimately, I believe we can all agree that our energy production future must include a heavy emphasis on cleaner fuels and renewable energy for the good of our region and our world. Moving forward, it is my hope that we will have opportunities to dialogue, exchange ideas, and collaborate to advance our cause for the success and empowerment of all CARICOM member states. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is the opening ceremony of the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo. It's in its third iteration, and over the next few days, we will hear how the conference has evolved from the first year to now being in its third year. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker this morning is a known nature lover. So of course, he loves coming to Guyana. He enjoys gardening and hiking, an avid golfer. Hope some time permits him to put his golfing skills to the test here. But did you know that he's also a volcanologist? He obtained his doctorate in geology, specializing in geochemistry. And Trinidad, like Guyana, it's taking a measured approach to the energy transition. They are pursuing the exploration and development of their hydrocarbon resources as they transition also to a lower carbon economy. We know Trinidad, they are currently dealing with a national emergency, so we keep them in our thoughts. And now we invite for remarks the Honorable Dr. Keith Rowley, the 7th Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen all. Permit me a moment to acknowledge our host, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Corporate Republic of Guyana, the Honorable Brigadier Mark Anthony Phillips, Prime Minister of the Corporate Republic, Dr. Barrett Jagdeo, Vice President of this Republic, heads of CARICOM, other ministers of government of Guyana and CARICOM, Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM, heads of missions, heads of companies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. It is my pleasure to participate in this, the 3rd Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo. I would like to congratulate the government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana on bringing together key local, regional, and international energy players to this conference. Permit me to acknowledge again His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali as the incoming chairman of CARICOM. Trinidad and Tobago reiterates its commitment to collaboratively advancing CARICOM's strategic priorities under your stewardship. This conference has grown in strength and stature and has become a must-attend on the annual Regional Energy Conference calendar for industry players, policymakers, and stakeholders. This year's theme, Fueling Transformation and Modernization, is befitting of the event's expanded focus to incorporate a wide cross-section of industries. The global oil and gas sector has been instrumental in providing the energy required for the significant developments in the global economy. This industry is playing an important role in the energy transition by providing the affordable and reliable energy needed to fuel growth, producing this energy with decreasing emissions through carbon capture strategies, reduction in flaring and leaks to support a low-carbon world. The oil and gas industry will be a major source of energy for decades to come, during a protracted period of transition, even as we invest and expand the contribution of various renewables. Policymakers worldwide need to evaluate the central role it plays in modern life. With rising concerns for future demand and climate change, the industry finds itself in a delicate situation. Only by recognizing the true scope of these ongoing challenges and addressing their implications by offering leadership and solutions can the industry continue to prosper in an increasingly complex world. The Caribbean energy economies, like Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Suriname, are significant players in this market and will not be irresponsible, nor will we shy away from beneficial opportunities. In the pursuit of energy security and resilience, our region is no stranger to challenges. CARICOM countries, on average, import an estimated 87% of their oil, compared to a global average of 21%. This dependence has left the region vulnerable to energy market volatilities, which take a toll on crucial economic sectors within the region. Collectively, we continue to echo the sentiments of sustained development through the availability of our resources. This availability has been demonstrated by the recent oil and gas findings in Guyana and Suriname. In order to ensure energy security for the region and combat the negative impacts of climate change, it is imperative that we effectively utilize our resources, whether they be hydrocarbon or renewable, through collaborative efforts. Only by working together can we obtain our objectives of fostering productive and resilient economies in what promises to be an increasingly hostile business environment. With the emergence of our region as a significant player in the hydrocarbon industry, we are presented with a valuable chance to proactively utilize our combined knowledge and expertise in order to maximize future prospects. By ensuring our region fully capitalizing on its resources, including human and mechanical, we can guarantee the alignment of energy and industrial transformation with collaborative economic strategies. For successful implementation, these strategies must be accompanied by efficient and effective public management systems and integration into the local economy through shared infrastructure and supply chains. To this end, we in the deep southern Caribbean are currently engaged in spawning a cargo ferry service, which we are confident can grow into a major catalyst for welcomed regional collaboration, development, and diversification. In our National Development Strategy for Trinidad and Tobago for 2016 to 2030, we signal the government's intention to transition towards a more diversified economy, which produces a broad spectrum of export competitive, high-value products and services. It's in this context that the government has developed a roadmap for Trinidad and Tobago with the objective of transforming to a new economy and society. The recent openings of the ultra-modern Phoenix Park Industrial Estate in Trinidad is testimony to our efforts and intentions. Economic development of Trinidad and Tobago has been driven by monetization of the country's oil and gas resources, and this will continue into the foreseeable future. The roadmap is a guide for transforming the economy of Trinidad and Tobago from being overly dependent on the oil and gas industry into one that generates revenues and foreign exchange from a broader range of sectors and a wider portfolio of products. These targets new and increased investments will come from encouraging innovation, entrepreneurship, and diversification, inspiring new players in the market to venture into new business and projects such as manufacturing, food processing, insurance, finance, and logistics. Energy is at the heart of sustainable economic development. Transforming the energy system to meet the increasing energy demand while also lowering global emission will require a broad energy mix and unprecedented collaboration across all sectors and countries. Energy transformation is not just about providing carbon-free energy, but about prospering while on the journey to do so. Producer economies may have to diversify their energy production as they seek to diversify their economies, putting energy transition at the heart of their development strategies. In this regard, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is taking concrete steps to diversify the country's energy mix. In conjunction with a consortium of BP and Shell, we are constructing a solar utility project which has the potential to provide up to 8% of the country's power requirements in the very near future. The completion and commissioning of this project is scheduled for the final quarter of 2024. The growth in electricity generation of renewables has been due to rapid technology improvements and decreasing costs of producing renewable energy resources. Given the leading role that hydrogen produced from renewable energy sources is poised to play in the energy transition, there is opportunity by industry players to embrace hydrogen in the creation of a sustainable downstream industry. In this regard, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is positioning our country to become a leader in this transformative technology known as green hydrogen as part of its energy transition. Once the cost factor and its restrictions can be overcome. Oil and gas resources are wasting assets, and therefore it is imperative that efficient exploitation is undertaken to maximize their contribution to sustainable economic development. In the oil and gas sector, collaboration is especially important due to the high cost and long lead times associated with oil and gas advancements. Our small nation has been able to boost our economy by becoming a significant global player in the energy industry, boasting over 100 years of experience and expertise developed from the oil and gas industry, which has been valued by energy companies operating in Trinidad and Tobago and by developing oil and gas economies which have sought to model their industries on our experience. We are no stranger to an energy transition as the largest oil and natural gas producer in the Caribbean, and as our energy sector moved from an oil-dominant one to a mostly natural gas sector in the early 1990s. We have successfully maintained our position in an evolving energy market through the fostering of strong relationship with our upstream developers, downstream industry players, and an energy services industry that is on par with those of developed petroleum economies. With increasing pressure on the oil and gas industry from all quarters, there's a need for collaboration for effective and efficient delivery. It is a philosophy that we as a government and an oil and gas producing country have taken on board. In our current model production sharing contract for the efficient conduct of petroleum operations, provision has been made for the sharing of energy infrastructure by approved operators subject to appropriate arrangements. More recently, in a landmark agreement, the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Atlantic LNG shareholders, Shell Trinidad and Tobago Limited, BP Trinidad and Tobago Limited, and the state-owned National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, executed an agreement on the restructuring of the current Atlantic LNG facilities into a single utilized facility, which is not only a more efficient arrangement, but also will result in significantly improved revenues to the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago. It is with the recognition that collaboration is an imperative that Trinidad and Tobago has stepped up our efforts to formally engage with our regional partners towards development of economic cooperation in the energy sector. In this regard, a memorandum of understanding between Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago was executed in July 2023. Cross-functional technical teams led by Statsoli and the National Energy have since been established to advance the implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding in various key areas such as gas production and export, renewable energy, and capacity building. Notably, we have also actioned our Memorandum of Understanding with the government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana through the formation of a high-level bilateral commission between Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana. As a small island developing nation, Trinidad and Tobago must, out of necessity, engage with the rest of the world, and particularly our regional neighbors, as we continue to build and strengthen our economy. High on our agenda has been the development of economic cooperation in the energy sector. To this end, we have executed unitization agreements with the government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, the government of Barbados, and the government of Grenada, which will allow for the exploration of hydrocarbon resources in the maritime boundaries shared with these neighboring countries. As a country with more than 100 years in the oil and gas business, we are open to collaborating with our regional neighbors in the development of the region's hydrocarbon resources through the sharing of our knowledge, expertise, and infrastructure in commercial activity. Linking the energy and industrial transformations enabled by the energy transition to a broader economic cooperation would help to ensure that the region makes the most out of its hydrocarbon resources. Events of this nature, such as the recently held Trinidad and Tobago Energy Conference, the current Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Expo, and the Suriname Energy Oil and Gas Summit and Exhibition, which is scheduled for June 4th to 7th, 2024. These are vehicles which bring us all together with a central objective of advancing the development of the region's hydrocarbons for the benefit of all its stakeholders. I am confident that our deliberations at this Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo will further advance this laudable objective. In closing, I wish to thank the Cooperative Republic of Guyana for the opportunity to generate these few remarks for your consideration. Thank you, and I wish you all success.
Thank you, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And we can see the carnival glow still on you, Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fueling transformation and modernization, not just in Guyana, but across our region, as we heard from Prime Minister a moment ago. Over 25 countries are participating this year in 25 plus industries. 870 you have registered for this conference. Each year it's growing in scope, it's growing in numbers. And so we are thankful to have all of you with us for this week. Our next presentation will be a virtual one. We will now hear from His Excellency Luis Rodolfo Corona, President of the Republic of the Dominican Republic. Again, your attention to the screen.
Buenos días. Su Excelencia, mi buen amigo Irfan Ali, Presidente de la República Cooperativa de Guyana. Excelencia, Jefe de Estado y de Gobierno de Bahamas, Qatar, Surinam y Trinidad y Tobago. Honorables ministros, miembros del cuerpo diplomático, invitados especiales, señoras y señores. La celebración de las elecciones municipales en República Dominicana me ha impedido acompañarlos físicamente en el día de hoy. Sin embargo, me siento honrado de poder formar parte de la inauguración de esta conferencia sobre energía y exposición sobre cadenas de suministros. Pero he instruido a nuestro ministro de Energía y Minas, Antonio Almonte, de hacerse presente en esta conferencia. Al mostrar los diversos sectores de la economía de Guyana y su potencial, Esta conferencia constituye una plataforma para aprender, interactuar, conectarse y desarrollar sinergias con líderes y tomadores de decisiones de Guyana, la región y de todo el mundo, creando así oportunidades para los participantes y posicionando la estrategia de desarrollo de Guyana en el marco internacional, lo que permite a inversionistas conocer el extraordinario potencial que nosotros en República Dominicana hemos percibido en Guyana. Desde el inicio, uno de los objetivos fundamentales de la política exterior de nuestro gobierno ha sido el acercamiento con los países del CARICOM, que conforman nuestro entorno inmediato. Desarrollamos una visión estratégica que incluyó identificar socios que compartieran valores e intereses y que estuvieran dispuestos a trabajar juntos para garantizar el bienestar de nuestros pueblos, primordialmente en materia alimentaria y energética. Felizmente, en el gobierno del presidente Ali encontramos un socio y aliado que comparte esa visión estratégica. Tan pronto cesaron las restricciones de viajes, iniciamos un acercamiento diplomático y económico con Guyana, incluyendo las visitas del canciller en septiembre del 2022, mi visita con un nutrido grupo de inversionistas en junio del 2023 y la del presidente Ali a Santo Domingo en agosto del 2023, también con un buen número de inversionistas guyaneses. Asimismo, abrimos una embajada dominicana en Georgetown a principios del 2023. El martes pasado estuve en el Consejo de Seguridad de la ONU, invitado por el presidente Ali, dado que Guyana ostenta la presidencia por este mes de febrero de ese órgano para tratar aspectos de gran trascendencia para la seguridad alimentaria y los efectos del cambio climático. Mi participación en esa reunión subrayó la importancia de nuestra colaboración a nivel internacional y la relevancia de nuestras naciones en los temas globales. Estos intercambios han permitido dar cuerpo a una relación que es de gran importancia estratégica para ambos países en el ámbito político, económico y de cooperación. En agosto del año pasado, firmamos 6 históricos acuerdos con Guyana para construir una refinería, explotar un bloque de petróleo, establecer una planta petroquímica y producir conjuntamente productos agrícolas. Para República Dominicana, esta relación puede significar la autonomía en 3 de los 4 insumos más importantes para nuestro país: hidrocarburos, maíz y soya. Quiero agradecer tanto a nuestro embajador en Guyana, Ernesto Torres Pereira, como a Tulio Rodríguez, comisionado especial del gobierno dominicano para Guyana, y a través de ellos a todas las personas en el gobierno dominicano que han venido desplegando grandes esfuerzos en el desarrollo de estos acuerdos históricos para nuestras naciones. Felicito el entusiasmo con el que el sector privado de ambos países se han sumado a esta iniciativa. Frutos tangibles de esa relación son la apertura de nuevas rutas aéreas como la de Sky High, el memorando de entendimiento entre Interenergy Group y Guyana Power and Light y el anuncio del Grupo Punta Cana de su intención de desarrollar un eco-resort y explorar áreas de cooperación con el Aeropuerto Internacional Jerry Hagan en Guyana y la conformación de un consorcio entre el sector privado dominicano y el de Guyana en asociación con Lindsaica, denominado United Caribbean Energy, que se encuentra en fase de estudio de factibilidad. La inauguración de la Cámara de Comercio de República Dominicana en Guyana, DR-CHAM Guyana, marca otro paso adelante en esta alianza. Agradezco a todos los involucrados en este esfuerzo, incluyendo a Miguel Ángel González, fundador y presidente de la Cámara. Les deseo a todos los participantes en esta conferencia un gran éxito y aprovecho para agradecer al presidente Ali y a los organizadores por la oportunidad de participar en esta inauguración. Dios mediante, el próximo año estaré físicamente presente con ustedes. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, President Corona, and we do look forward to your physical presence at the Expo next year. Many others also wanted to be physically present for the Expo, but due to the exigencies of their important responsibilities, they could not be with us, like our next speaker. And just now, President, in his presentation, was mentioning the various collaborations and partnerships. Yes, we're definitely in a new era of tourism and hospitality. And yesterday was also the groundbreaking ceremony for an innovative development between the private sector of Qatar and Guyana. And so at this time, we present remarks from His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed, the Prime Minister of Qatar.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, it's a pleasure to be speaking at your conference. Thank you for the kind invitation. In Qatar, our success story in the energy field has confirmed what we always believed. Every nation has the right to explore and secure its energy resources. Energy security is the backbone of economic prosperity and development. The two are interdependent and cannot be separated in any context. And we believe with the proper planning, tools, and partnerships, every nation can fulfill its energy security. Qatar Energy is actively working with partners in every region to responsibly develop their natural resources, enabling nations to expand their economics and reduce energy poverty felt in countries around the globe. This natural resources exploration not only help provide energy security and equity for future generations, but also develops the host country's infrastructure and growth for the future. The opportunities created through these partnerships, including jobs in science and technology, ensures homegrown technical expertise which can be leveraged across multiple sectors. The world will require a robust mix of all available energy resources to provide for the needs of growing populations. The explorations and investments of today will provide for the future energy needs of tomorrow. In Latin America, Qatar teams work with Argentina, Brazil, Guyana, Mexico, Suriname, and Venezuela, deepening the bilateral friendship shared between our nations. I hope the discussions facilitated today will enrich our ties and guide us toward the future that fulfill our people's aspirations for a world that is secure and energy sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, you know the saying, behind every good man there is... Oops. Well, let me help you then. Behind every strong and good man there is a good mother. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the mother of our president, Mrs. Bibi Ali. And earlier, I mentioned that our vision is very simple. As a people, as a country, we want to be a beautiful place, united, where we place the well-being of each other, us, the citizens of our country, our natural environment above everything else. The president was on record saying he's not interested in power, he's interested in responsibility, responsible leadership. And so, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I now invite His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, for remarks at the opening of the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo.
Thank you very much, please. My dear friend, Prime Minister Rauli, former President Dugue, ministers of the government, Mr. Tony White, the organizer of this conference, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First of all, allow me this opportunity to welcome all of you to Guyana and to wish you a successful stay, but one in which you will find time to enjoy the beauty of our country, the hospitality of our people, and the purity of our love. Welcome to the Republic of Guyana. I want to say to you that, Michelle, that I know for a fact that Prime Minister Rauli did not have the luxury of enjoying this year's carnival because he was part of the team looking at the cleaning up of that oil spill. It's a major disaster, and I know that he has been busy on that front. So maybe we will have to have him enjoy some of Mashramani here so that it can give him a little bit of what he would have missed. I want to say today that we are meeting at a different conference from last year because very importantly, we have added the supply chain to this conference. And it is not added to this conference to prolong the title of the conference, but it is added because there is an important shift from a policy perspective, from an investment perspective, and from a development perspective that we wanted to highlight to investors as the energy story continue to unfold in Guyana. It is important for us to understand the role logistics and transport systems and investment will play in the building out of our economy, but more importantly, in the integration, the full and complete integration of our economy with CARICOM, South America, DR, and further afield. This is the priority, ensuring the economy is fully integrated within our region. And why is this important? We can have, and all the speakers before spoke about the energy potential based on our crude and based on our gas that is proven. But this potential can only be translated into value if there is a market. And if we can define our market space within the region itself, then it points to very low-hanging fruits. But we have to build the infrastructure to facilitate this, to facilitate the movement, to facilitate the trade, and to facilitate the integration. And that is what we are focusing on in the logistics build-out. How do we build out this ecosystem to support the energy development that would lead to other important development in the country? Because we want to place the country forefront in the region's food security drive. That by itself would create an entire ecosystem that would bring tremendous investment opportunities into Guyana. Outside of this, of course, environment and climate is another important component of the development mix that would drive Guyana's future. So I wanted to spend a few moments this morning not going over all that you know already. You know the oil story. You know where we are heading with that. But to go over what is our strategy in relation to gas. What is our strategy in relation to value addition, investing in upstream opportunities? The Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister, just outlined some important opportunities that exist in the synergy between Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and the region. And that is what we have to do. Bring the synergy to the table. So why is DR important? You're talking about a market of more than 10 million people. CARICOM, together, we have a sizable market. Individually, we do not have a sizable market. Guyana, Barbados, and Trinidad, we are launching very soon with strong support from Trinidad and Tobago, a shipping asset that will allow movement of containers, movement of passengers, a ferry service, as a test to prove the model that investment in the regional transport infrastructure is not only key and critical, but it is profitable. It is profitable, and it helps us to achieve the goals of integration, greater levels of trade between ourselves, and food security. So, our development partners in the region allows us the opportunity of having off-takers for the commodities that we're going to produce, for the value additions that we're going to produce. And what are some of these commodities, and how is it integrated into what we're doing? So let's take, for example, the ongoing project, which is the 250 kilometers pipeline, the 12-inch pipeline from FPSO to deliver phase 1 gas, which is 50 MCFD, and that is going to be 40% of the pipeline capacity, the phase 1. The total gas for that pipeline would be 120 plus FCFD. Now, what are we hoping to do with the first phase? The first phase, we're looking at a power and NGL plant, a 300 megawatt combined cycle and NGL facility. The other investment that is critical to this is a transmission line, substations, which is 85 kilometers of transmission lines, 3 new substations, and upgrade to 2 substations. Now, why is this important? Our future depends on reliable, efficient energy. Currently, we do not have this. We do not have reliable, efficient energy. We do not have the quantum of energy to drive the industrialization and manufacturing that is critically needed for the country's development. So this project is extremely critical to give us, first of all, the efficiency, the reliability. But more importantly, it gives us the opportunity to be competitive, because at the end of this project, the cost of energy will be reduced by 50%, and that then puts us in the game for manufacturing, agro-processing, and industrial development. That is where that positions us. Now, where are we with this project? The pipeline, which is an investment of about $1 billion US, should come in the fourth quarter, well, would come in the fourth quarter, Exxon, of 2024. We have an investment in the power plant, the NGL facility, and the power plant is a combined cycle of $759 million US, and the transmission line substation of $160 million US. That is the 3 component of the ongoing project in relation to the pipeline, what it would lead to. But outside of this story of the first gas, that is the 40% of the pipeline that will come in, that will focus on this 300 megawatt power facility, based on the interest, based on pure interest by investors, we are already seeing that the second phase of gas coming in will have to support a second power plant. That is based on the interest, just the interest in manufacturing, in industrial development, in agro-processing. The growth in the demand of power is going to be enormous, because we are going to propel that growth by the fiscal incentive regime and the investment drive we're going to push forward for manufacturing, industrial development, and agro-processing. So already we have to start thinking about this. But what are some of the other important value addition that would drive transport and logistics and supply chain in this equation? So in the first phase of gas, that is the 40% capacity of the pipeline, you're looking at 4,000 barrels of propane, butane per day. 4,000 barrels of propane, butane per day. Now, for me, like a simple, ordinary man, cooking gas. In the Caribbean, we say you're cooking on gas. Well, we cook with gas. So that's 4,000 barrels. Now, what does this mean? What does this 4,000 barrel translate to in transport, logistics, in building out an ecosystem? Our local consumption now is 800 barrels per day. So we will be producing at least 4,000 barrels. And that is in phase one, 40% of the pipeline. Our local consumption is 800 barrels. Immediately, we have 3,200 barrels available for export. This has to be moved. It has to be transported. And here is where the bridge link to Suriname across the Quarantine River is key and critical. That is why we are pushing to advance the building of this bridge so that that market in Suriname becomes available in even the first phase of the excess. Then, of course, we are now building out the road to northern Brazil. 122 kilometers of that road is under construction, 45 bridges. All of that investment we're already making so that that market becomes immediately available. So let us look at full capacity. At full capacity, which we don't foresee to be long after phase one, which we don't foresee to be long after phase one, Exxon. At full capacity, we are looking at 10,000 barrels per day. That is propane and butane, 10,000 barrels. So you're moving to 10,000 barrels per day. Now, what does this mean for us? This means for us that even with the growth in our demand, we will have 9,000 barrels per day ready for export. What does this translate to? This translates to us being able to fulfill, to a large extent, all of CARICOM needs. All of CARICOM needs. It leads us to fulfillment of all of Roraima needs. So, this is a link between the investment. When people ask, why build roads? Why build bridges? This is the economic link that it creates. This is the economic. If we don't have it, we will sit on 9,000 barrels of propane and it can't hatch. It can't hatch. So, you know, some of these exports sometimes, Prime Minister Rowley, wonder gazingly academically as to why you invest in roads and bridges. This is a critical link to the opportunities that open up for our country. So you have 9,000 barrels. Immediately we are a major player. Do you know what that means for supply chain, transport, logistics, transportation? The type of jobs will be created, the type of small businesses, medium-sized businesses, industries that will be accelerated, the type of revenue stream, the type of trickle-down benefit, because in Lethem, in Linden, you will then have to have mechanical facilities, servicing facilities, depots, and the list goes on. So you have this 9,000 barrels. Further, and I am only speaking now about the first the pipeline to Wales. That is the pipeline we're talking about. Let's not get confused. Then it allows us now the opportunity, and this is why the relationship with DR is so important. Because the DR has a very high demand with 5,400, approximately 5,400 barrels per day. That is your demand, residential and commercial. So it is important from a policy perspective that the mechanism to make this trade, to allow this trade with DR to be seen to accelerate the transition to a low-carbon energy platform. However, time is of the essence. Due to market forces and uncertainties associated with the pace of the energy transition, and based on current global gas demand and supply forecasts, there is an immediate window of opportunity between now and the end of the decade to monetize and maximize the value of Guyana's natural gas resources. The time to develop our gas is now. It is with all of this in mind that the government of Guyana has recently issued an RFP for the private sector to provide solutions for the design, finance, construction, and operation of required gas infrastructure to support upstream developments. The result of this RFP process would also facilitate the completion of the gas monetization strategy work we started during the fourth quarter of 2023. The RFP will bring new monetization solutions to our current and future upstream gas developments, allowing us to increase competition and reduce vertical integration across the gas value chain. This will also allow for the safe and timely development of all of our gas resources, as well as creating an open access infrastructure system for all existing and future upstream participants to support current and future upstream development in Guyana. New infrastructure solutions in Guyana to develop and monetize our natural gas will undoubtedly support our CARICOM brothers and sisters and friends in Latin America to attain energy security, whereby Guyana will be uniquely positioned as a regional energy hub. Currently, we are at the mercy of existing producers in the developed world, and we all felt the consequences of interrupted supply chains, price inflation, which is magnified for developing nations like Guyana, Barbados, Trinidad, Suriname, all of CARICOM. I want to reiterate my position to you today that development in Guyana, especially in the energy sector, must and will benefit the region. At home, we see these future projects benefiting all Guyanese through additional revenue creation for socio-economic development, increased foreign direct investments, and local content development through increased supply chain activities, skill development and employment, and of course, associated industries which are important for economic diversification. Current and future upstream developers in Guyana are a key part of the success of the government's strategic choice to develop our gas resources. I ask all the gas value chain participants today and in the future to work closely together with a common objective of developing Guyana's gas now to ensure the maximum value from our gas resources, ensuring the future development of Guyana and prosperity of all Guyanese and the region as a whole. That is in relation to the master plan for gas. This is outside of the pipeline that we're talking about now. We are now working on the overall gas strategy. And why is this overall gas strategy important? I outlined to you the policy direction we're going in. To quickly monetize, to bring the benefit, to have the value addition. But what are some of the value addition that we're talking about? The way we see this gas development unfolding is through which it will be highly integrated into the investment, and it will be an important bolster for the investment in the deepwater port and the connection to northern Brazil. And that will open up tremendous opportunity for transport and logistics for every conceivable stream of cargo, fertilizer, agriculture products, for example. Let me give you an example. Right now, as I speak to you, in northern Brazil, they import about, and this is just food-related imports, agriculture and food-related imports. In northern Brazil, they import about 8 million tons of food-related imports, and they export 13 million tons. But guess what? To move this to the port, it takes them 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Because they're landlocked. Coming through Guyana will take less than 2 days. Coming through Guyana will take less than 2 days. Our geographic position now places us on a competitive path to be the shipping logistics solution for northern Brazil, and more importantly, to make them more competitive. And that now justifies and add to the rate of return for the deepwater port. And that is what is linked into supply chain, logistics, and all of this. And this is the direction we're going in. Now, a recent study by Bechtel shows us, and this is their study, that from Letem, which is the border tongue to Brazil, Letem to New Amsterdam, which is where we're foreseeing the deepwater port, that's a distance of 540 kilometers. You know what's the time? 5 hours, 4 minutes. That's the Bechtel study. 5 hours, 4 minutes. You're talking about an agriculture, its speed is perishable. It is getting to the market as quickly as possible because there's a value in getting to the market as fresh as possible. You're talking about a game changer here for northern Brazil, a game changer for Guyana, a game changer for transport and logistics. Now that is not the only link to the master plan. The other important link to the master plan is bauxite. For years, we have been a prime exporter of raw material. Now, with the opportunity that the master plan gives us, that is using gas to do upstream and high value production, the only disadvantage we have now is the cost of energy. That brings down the energy to a cost that makes us now highly competitive. So what does this mean for the bauxite industry? This means now that with our neighbor Suriname, this is the next neighbor, going to Suriname. With our neighbor Suriname and Guyana combined, we have about 1.5 billion metric tons of bauxite. That's the reserve. With the natural gas and the cost of energy coming down, we can now move to upscale high-value manufacturing in aluminium plant, building an aluminium plant to support the deepwater port. This is the value addition. This is the value creation. This is what it opens up. But none of this can take place if we don't make the investment now, make the investment in infrastructure. And now, when you look at that, when you look at what I'm speaking about here, natural gas, the liquids, you look at bauxite, the movement of raw material, you look at the link to northern Brazil, what else becomes important? We're talking then about the building out of a marine economy. Shipping, dry docking, servicing. And once we build out that economy and build the infrastructure to support that economy, then we can do more high-value integration with the movement of crude. And these are where the real opportunities and real revenue stream will come in. And that is why this forum is so critical. It's understanding the holistic approach, and it is linking those with the technology, those with the capital, those with the know-how, from the international perspective, the regional perspective, to the local investors, creating the relationship, creating a network, and building out the ecosystem and making the necessary investment to make all of this now a reality. Outside of this, of course, with the cost of energy coming down, and with Guyana being a golden country in many ways, with our gold reserve, it now makes the gold refinery viable. And we are already seeing great interest in the establishment of a gold refinery here in Guyana. Tremendous interest in the establishment of a gold refinery. We are also working now, we have commenced work on the building of a regional food hub. And that is important to be interlinked to CARICOM, interlinked with northern Brazil. So what we want to do is to reverse engineer the food production system coming from northern Brazil and going all the way back up north. So this is another important area. As a result of natural gas to spin off, we are now going to be able to invest in feed production here that will bring down the cost of feed, that now position us, because we already are among the top 5% country with natural competitive advantage in aquaculture, to become a major aquaculture producer. The shrimp market, the prawn market alone in the U.S. is $4 billion. $4 billion. Now, all of these investments will be unlocked. And what this does, what supports all of this? Logistics. Logistics. Transport. Having the right logistics system in place. So we're looking at the forward and backward linkages, and we're not only looking at it, we have started the process. So by 2025, end of 2025, we'll be self-sufficient in the production of corn and soya, starting from zero 3 years ago. We'll be self-sufficient in corn and soya for all our feed production. By 2027, we'll be in a position to meet the entire needs of all of CARICOM in corn and soya. By the end of this year, we'll be in a position to meet all our needs in red beans and black eye. By the end of next year, we'll meet the entire need of CARICOM in black eye and red beans. So this, and all of this require movement. All of this, and all of this, these are no longer ideas. All of this is already on the ground. Work is ongoing. So, creating the forward and backward linkage is important for us. So refinery, looking at the possibility of how we can have more refined products in the region, the urea plant, and if you look at the urea plant, that itself, the capacity of the urea plant would allow us to take care of Roraima, take care of Guyana, take care of Suriname in the initial investment. And that is only using the additional 10 million units per day in the first phase of the pipeline. That plant can be upscaled as the pipeline is filled to its capacity. So these are the linkages between the investment we are making and, of course, logistics and the logistics support system. So these are some of the things I wanted to highlight to the conference and to allow you the opportunity to pay attention to this ecosystem that we are building. I don't think I have to go over the story on oil. I mean, you guys have the numbers. The only thing I can tell you is that the numbers are growing. The discoveries are coming. In the last year, from the last time we met to now, we had 3 new discoveries. And of course, we have a situation where 36% of the electricity generated globally still comes from coal. So I think the debate is how do we move from coal as fast as possible? And moving from coal as fast as possible goes to the next less polluting form of energy, then the next less. So oil and gas is here for a pretty sustained period, former President Dugue. You will agree with me. It's here for a pretty sustained period because we're not even talking about the growth in the demand from Asia, the growth in India, the strong growth in the middle class in India, and the demand that is driving globally. The truth is, we have a lot of work to do on the renewable side. And on the renewable side too, over the last year, from the last time we met, we now have the process closed for the hydroelectric facility, the hydro power facility, Milas Fall, and that process, we went out to public tender. We now have all the proposals in place, so that too will come on stream very soon. And that's 165 megawatts of power for hydroelectricity. But more importantly, there is tremendous potential, and with Brazil, President Lula coming next week, we're discussing even the integration of more hydro into northern Brazil and creating a transmission link for power to be distributed into northern Brazil. So the story is unfolding. The story is getting much more complex, but very, very much more beautiful as we speak. On the food security platform, of course, we are going to invest heavily, integrate with northern Brazil and the region as a whole. So my friends, I just wanted today not to bore you, but to take these few moments to outline to you this new area and to have you also ensure that you spend some of your time focusing on these areas that I have outlined to you. So thank you, enjoy your conference, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Dr. Irfan Ali. As the energy story unfolds, we certainly want to say thank you for your stellar leadership to position Guyana as a global leader on energy security, food security, and climate security, all essential for the well-being of our people and the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a video presentation coming up next. I do sense some movement in the room. I'm kindly asked that you stay where you are. Our program has not wrapped up as yet. We'll have a video, then a cultural showcase, after which the government officials will move downstairs for the ribbon cutting ceremony. Then we will come back after a break for presentations from former President of Colombia, former U.S. Secretary of State, President of Exxon, to wrap up the morning session. So we continue now, ladies and gentlemen. Here is a glimpse into what we've just been hearing from the President, his vision for a transformative and modern Guyana in this video presentation. That, ladies and gentlemen, across all 10 of our administrative regions, the transformative, modern Guyana in the 21st century. And to complement all that we have just seen and we heard earlier from the President, we now proudly showcase our diverse, rich culture as we invite the National Dance Company, the Riverside Angels, and the Parkview Dancers for this performance.
Bire mazak wuro nogong Morowia Kokmanoro Tiji Ngai.
We are one Guyana, a place of peace, a place of love. We are one Guyana, paradise, our world.
Plenty rice and sugar cane. Same Guyanese blood in our veins. So make we burn out the hatred time we raising. Can't make that destroy. 6 race I share the same space in this 83,000 square miles.
We are one Guyana, a place of peace, a place of love. We are one Guyana, paradise, our world.
Brother is a brother, no matter which religion is you. Could a Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, Hindu. Sister is a sister, real and true. One big water culture brew.
And all of we together could really make this dream come true of a brighter Guyana for me and you. Ocean to mountains, say this June. Take it cool. We are one Guyana, a place of peace, a place of love. We are one Guyana, paradise, our world. Love runs deep like a beautiful rivers for Guyana. When we stand as one, mighty like Mount Rima for Guyana. For Guyana, our life would be beautiful, just like Guyana. She's blessed us with her own, just to embrace her. Say, one and alone can't love lots of lots. Put her hands together, give her a standing ovation. This great nation, a little gem of this world. We are one Guyana,
We are one beautiful Guyana as we celebrate our 54th Republic anniversary. Let's give Guyana a round of applause, everyone. And we're going to kindly ask that you remain seated to allow the government officials to leave to go downstairs for the ribbon cutting ceremony. And then we will resume upstairs here at 11:15 with presentations, 3 presentations for the morning session. And so please remain seated as I now invite President, Prime Ministers, and other government officials to depart the room to move for the seating.
As you can see, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, among many other government officials, the Prime Minister of Guyana and the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago departing the conference hall just after speaking. You know, Michaela, the President spoke about several initiatives, particularly relating to the Gas to Shore project and how Guyana will be playing a very critical role in ensuring that our transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy is one that is smooth and one that actually makes sense. And I think that was really good.
Yes, it was really good to hear from the Sheikh, the virtual calling that he had, and he made some really important points, you know, and this is something that is entirely in tune with the government's position. If we have these resources, if we have been given this national patrimony, then we should be given the right to develop it for not just this generation, but the future ones. And so it was really inspiring to hear him say these words. This morning's presentation, or its opening session rather, was quite informative. We heard from Dr. Keith Rowley. We heard from Prime Minister Davis, as well as I think I'm missing someone.
We also heard from the President of the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
He had a virtual, of course, and he spoke about Guyana's development. But what we're seeing now is His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali leading a delegation to move directly towards the ribbon cutting of course, of the exhibition area. It's just going to be
that exhibition area.
That exhibition area,
yes. If our listeners can recall, host about over 180 companies. These are local companies, regional companies, those from abroad, and they're here to market their services, their products, and to network with Guyanese who are participating in this energy conference. We see some ministers leaving, some ministers of the government of Guyana, the former president of Colombia, Mr. Ivan Duque, and the rest of the delegation here headed to the exhibition center for the ribbon cutting. It's been an exciting morning, and it is going to be an exciting remaining 3 days and first day of the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo.
And if you look carefully, you can see some students that are there already. The students will be supporting this ribbon cutting exercise. As you mentioned, Michaela, there are more than 180 of those booths at the back there, all ready to showcase their diversity, all ready to showcase their talent, their skills, their abilities, what they bring to the development of Guyana's energy sector. Those companies include local companies, regional companies, and international companies as well, all coming together to showcase these things. We have Lyndon, who's on that side, and very soon will be speaking to us on what is happening from a first-hand experience or first-hand perspective of what is transpiring there. We're looking now, Dr. Keith Rowley, and Lyndon will share with us what's happening on that side.
President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and of course the Prime Minister is there. We see the Secretary General of CARICOM, as well as other dignitaries as well. So the ribbon cutting ceremony officially ended. They're going to pose for a photo op, and then the President will lead the. And that area has, like Shaquan mentioned a little while ago, over 180 exhibitors. We're talking about you're talking about local companies as well as companies from abroad as well. Some 21 countries being featured here as part of the exhibition and conference this year. As well, you're talking about some 19 sectors outside of the energy sectors being featured there as well. President Ali leading the delegation to the exhibition area, and some very key things came out of the ceremony this morning. That's the opening ceremony. We heard from Dr. Carla Barnett, the Secretary General of CARICOM, and she spoke a lot about some of the challenges that we have here in the region, particularly as it relates to climate change and how that affects the energy sector and energy security here in the Caribbean, and obviously looking at ways and how we can improve on that, and to be able to ensure that as a region we can really capitalize on our full potential when it comes to energy and energy security. And the fact that Guyana is now an oil and gas producing nation, and the fact that we have the capabilities here. You heard from President Ali as well, and he spoke about the fact that development in our oil and gas sector will mean that
and the fact that we have the capabilities here. You heard from President Ali as well, and he spoke about the fact that the development in our oil and gas sector will mean that you'll definitely have significant benefits for the region, and that is one of the things the President was adamant about, in the fact that once Guyana develops its energy sector here, it will be able to put down to the region. And that is essentially what the oil and gas Expo and will be able to create those opportunities and lighten shed light on the opportunities available here in the oil and gas sector. But collaboration and partnership is a really important aspect of this conference and Expo. Just entered into being area. President Ali is taking a walk through, stopping at ExxonMobil, booth for ExxonMobil, interacting with interacted with the agents here in ExxonMobil's booth, and located at
we can see His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali with Prime Minister Keith Rowley and a number of other representatives there taking a look at ExxonMobil and their operations here in Guyana. President appears to be explaining some things to the government officials there, and they're about to move, of course. We can see in the midst Dr. Carla Burnett, who is the Secretary General of CARICOM, along with the entourage there. What you are seeing is the exhibition center, which holds some 200 local, regional and international companies that are participating in this year's exhibition center. Lyndon, you had the opportunity to see what's happening at the back there.
Yeah, what I like to point is the fact that, the regional leaders are getting an opportunity to see firsthand what is happening, particularly as it relates to how Guyana plans to develop its oil and gas industry. And talking about ExxonMobil is very critical and key as it relates to that. You're getting a chance to see a model of the FPSO and to see how it operates. I know Prime Minister Dr. Rowley is no stranger to that, given the fact that Trinidad and Tobago has a burgeoning oil industry there as well. But in itself, getting a chance to see how we are doing things here in Guyana is very, very important. I mentioned the fact that President Ali alluded to the fact any development in Guyana's oil and gas industry will benefit the region. Yeah. And we've been hearing a lot about the regional integration and really pursuing the true sense of regional integration. And I think our regional leaders are very, very serious as it relates to that.
And Dr. Rowley spoke extensively about that, in fact, about Guyana finding a way to implement very soon that ferry service that will ensure that Guyana, Trinidad and Barbados have an opportunity to move people. Yeah. And then the president expounded on that to try to help us to understand the intention to move shipment, cargo as well, and proving to the rest of the world that it is profitable here in this region to move goods and services across the different countries. And so what is happening here in the form of the Expo is bringing those regional bodies together, helping people to recognize that there is potential here in the Caribbean, and particularly in Guyana, with Guyana playing a major role in between all of this happening.
Yeah, and you're talking about that, and President Ali alluded to the fact that Guyana is positioned strategically, particularly as it relates to when you're talking about trade, and you're talking about that deep water port which is going to be built to facilitate trade between Guyana and Brazil. And we know recently, because of the pandemic, how global trade was affected. So the fact that we are positioned strategically here on the South American continent and obviously bridging that gap within the Caribbean as well, we are at a point where we can be able to meet the demand and fill that gap that exists, particularly as it relates to logistics and trade. And you're talking about our whole supply chain, and even with Suriname, the bridge that is going to be built across the Quarantine River with Suriname as well, how that helps to bring two oil countries, or countries that are pursuing their oil and gas industries, to be able to, one, collaborate as it relates to that, but also you're talking about trade as well on that side with Suriname and French Guyana and all these other countries across the river there.
And this is being extended to even other countries as well. And then we see, of course, even on stage right now with His Excellency, you see the former president of Colombia and a number of other government officials. All of these countries are excited to be a part of what is happening here in Guyana. And I'm happy that the president spoke about the fact that our energy position will not be focused solely on ensuring that we benefit from the fossil fuels that we have, but to try to make an effort to implement renewable energy sources in that mix as well. We know that government has invested heavily in solar energy, solar farms across the country. We know that, of course, the gas to energy project is going to be a massive project, and I think the president is even mulling the possibility of having even a second project of that nature because of the benefits that it can bring to our country. And of course, the much touted Amila Falls hydropower project, hopefully very soon coming on stream. All of those things playing a role in ensuring that when we speak about Guyana, we don't only speak about our oil and gas, but we speak about the way we are working towards combating climate change through the form of renewable energy as well.
And Shaquan, you're talking about energy and energy security, and in the Caribbean here with the markets that are available, you have so many producers and manufacturers, not here in Guyana, but across the region as well. Energy security, we know that is going to be very important when it comes to developing our manufacturing sector here in Guyana and the region. And that is why the conversation is ongoing, because you're talking about countries that are looking to tap into markets in Europe and markets in North America and even in South and Central America and that type of thing. Energy plays a vital role. Stable energy plays a vital role when it comes to that type of development. And President Ali alluded to some of the things that is happening here, particularly as relates to some of the other products that we're venturing into in terms of our crops. We're talking about the soybean farms that are being developed and all of those things. And those in itself has it's basically serves as a catalyst in terms of us being able to diversify our economy, but energy is at the forefront of that conversation. He alluded to 36% of the world global economy still being reliant on fossil fuels. And that conversation is going to be ongoing, particularly as it relates to how we transition from fossil fuel to renewable sources of energy. And you mentioned that here in Guyana, we've already started that process, the transition, because we've been seeing a lot of these solar farms being developed in their interior locations, and a lot of homes in Guyana are now utilizing, solar farms here in Guyana as well. And so it's going to be very, very important as we continue to play a major role, not just in agriculture, but we're positioning ourselves as a country, a global leader, so to speak, when it comes to energy. Because of conferences like these, it exposes us to opportunities that are available out there.
And energy and food security, two very important things that the president has been pushing in all of his global engagements. One of the things that the President Ali is known as is one of the chief marketers of Guyana himself, carrying Guyana on his back when he visits countries outside of the region, when he participates in these conferences around the world. He reminds people that Guyana is playing a very critical role in ensuring that that we contribute to food security and energy security. We see the president there with Dr. Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course they are having their discussions in relation to all of the things happening at the exhibition center. Lyndon, you had the opportunity to be at the back there. What's the vibe like at the back there for people?
Earlier I heard you talking about the fact you may have some giveaways. A lot of people look forward to the giveaways when they come through. But, it's one of those things which, kind of creates an atmosphere where people become a part of what is happening. Sometimes you go to booths and people are talking about, okay, these are some of the things that their booths are about, or what the companies they do. But the fact that people get a chance to participate, Guyanese like that, So you can come in, I think it's $1,000 to get in to the exhibition area a little bit later on from 1 o'clock. But once that happens, people can really be a part of it. And you've got over 188 exhibitors, some 21 countries outside of Guyana being featured there. So come and learn about what is happening, not just in oil and gas, but in the supply chain industry as well. And even bringing your CVs, because you will have opportunities to be able to, maybe land a job. I was sitting in the lobby area a little while ago, and a gentleman from Caribbean Jobs Online approached me and, gave us a flyer and spoke about all the opportunities that are available throughout the region.
And you almost got a job.
Almost got a job. But people can come by and bring their CVs, and that is essential. Bring your CVs and you interact with those persons from the different companies, and who knows.
And I think that's a very important point, because not only does it speak to Guyana's economic transformation from a macro level, but it also speaks to the fact that Guyana is encouraging the participation of local content. And we saw through the Local Content Act more than 6,000 people being employed, whether directly or indirectly, in our oil and gas sector, and the spin-off industries that come as a result. And this is a direct opportunity for people to continue to get involved in this particular area. And so we encourage, like you said, we encourage people, bring your CVs, bring your resumes, show these companies what Guyanese people have to offer, what Guyanese people can bring to the table. And that is one of the most important things. People were worried initially, Lyndon, about, of course, the parking and what will be happening in that regard. But I know that the Energy Conference has some stuff in place for that.
The Guyana Police Force, I mentioned earlier when we were on, that the officers are out there. You got to appreciate the work that they do, because when you're going through the exhibition area, it's, you don't have a congestion there, so to speak. So that area is clear. So you get you have clear access to the exhibition area at the back. But outside of that, obviously with the in front of the Marriott Hotel and roads leading into the Marriott Hotel, you've got the police officers over there ensuring that people are not parked in areas where they're not supposed to. So it makes the venue accessible for those persons who are looking to head into Kingston and of course into the Marriott Hotel. You will be directed by the Guyana Police Force where you can park, and some areas that are prohibited, because obviously you want things to flow smoothly. And we've had a really good day so far, and hopefully that continues with the work being done by the folks of the Guyana Police Force.
And the Energy Conference has outlined very specifically that there will be an area in place at Eve Leary so that parking can be done there for people. They have assured people that their vehicles will be safe, which is very important. And so people have nothing to fear when they come down here.
Yeah.
That actually rhymes. I didn't expect it to. But people have nothing to fear when they come here because they will take care of your parking, ensuring that your vehicle is safe, so that when you come, you have the opportunity to come in, experience the exhibition, and of course, leave with those goodies that we mentioned earlier.
You know, Shukwan, if we can head back to what we're seeing on screen, we see President Ali interacting with Stuart Young, the Minister of Energy there under the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And, you know, one of the things we've been hearing a lot about is that ferry service, which is going to commence really soon with Guyana, Barbados, and Trinidad. And a lot of Guyanese have been talking about that. That in itself opens up 3 countries when it comes to us being able to really capitalize on those opportunities when it comes to trade and even investments in these 3 countries as well. I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, no, this ferry service is going to be very important. I can't wait personally to get onto that ferry because the truth is I haven't been to Barbados. I've never been to Barbados. And this might be for me an opportunity to tour and then through tourism and stuff like that. But even from a bigger perspective, it is about connecting our countries and that regional integration that we've been talking about for decades and decades. This is a practical step, and we know how practical President Ali is. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that right now he's making some very important decision with Prime Minister Dr. Rowley and the other officials there to ensure that Guyana and the region by extension continues to benefit. We've seen Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana have a very strong bilateral relationship, and of course we expect that to continue over the years because we know Trinidad, to a large extent, has been a major player in the energy sector for quite some time, maybe over 100 years, and I know there's a lot of expertise and a lot of lessons that we can learn from Trinidad's experience. So those are the conversations I expect President Ali to be having. I'm sure he's having as they continue to tour the booths, the exhibition center. If you're just joining us here on NCN, I'm Shukwan Gill and I'm here with Linden, and of course we are taking you through the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, which is under the theme Fueling Transformation and Modernization. And what is happening right now, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali is touring the exhibition center that will have more than 200 or just about 200 companies that will be showcasing what they bring to the table, how they can support Guyana's energy sector, and what is more important, how you can get involved in that energy sector. I'm sure what are some of the times, if you just remind the people about the times that they can come today to be a part of this?
Yeah, I know the public is allowed into the exhibition area from 1 p.m. today, so for folks who are watching us at home, you want to come down to the Marriott Hotel where the exhibition area is from 1 p.m. today, and based on what we saw on the website, we saw that persons will be charged just, I think it's a minor fee of $1,000 to get in, and you have an opportunity to interact, like you mentioned, with over 188 companies, about 200 companies thereabout, and some companies from some 21 countries outside of Guyana are here as well. So when you're talking about opportunities in oil and gas, you will have all those companies that you probably would have seen on the internet, heard on international news. They're featured right here, and obviously you're getting an opportunity to bring your CVs. You know, everybody's looking for jobs, and you're talking about jobs in oil and gas industry. There are lots of jobs available, and you alluded to the fact that we have here in Guyana the local content which allows our Guyanese people to gain employment and opportunities in the oil and gas industry. So those opportunities are there. Why not come down to the Marriott Hotel and participate in the exhibition and have an opportunity to interact with those companies?
As we mentioned earlier, just some 6,000 Guyanese people have had the opportunity to be a part, whether directly or indirectly, from our through our oil and gas sector, and that number continues to grow every single day, and even will grow even today as the companies continue to ask for persons to bring their CVs, bring your resumes, and show what you have to offer to these oil and gas services. The president has just finished with Arrow Oil Field Services Inc., one of the companies that participates in our oil and gas sector. And what the president is doing right now is very important too. Letting these companies know that they have the support of the government in getting involved in our oil and gas sector, in ensuring that the role that they play is one that continues to grow our sector, but of course one that ensures that Guyanese people are involved and Guyanese people benefit from all that there is to offer from what is happening in our petroleum industry.
And that is pretty key what you mentioned, the fact that companies and investors that are coming into Guyana are assured that our government is committed to ensuring that the environment that is created, the platform that is created for transformation and for economic development is there. There are policies that are geared to encouraging investors to coming into Guyana and invest, not just in oil and gas, because you're talking about some 19 other companies outside of the oil and gas industry that are here as well in terms of supply chain. And that is very, very important. You're not just focusing on the oil and gas industry, but we know there are a lot of tentacles, so to speak, if you want to put it that way, or arms outside of the oil and gas industry that makes the industry efficient. And that is where supply chain comes in. So the government has reassured and reiterated that the government is committed to creating that environment that ensures that all those opportunities that are available for investments here are there's a level playing field, so to speak, when it comes to that, but that the government is there ready and willing to offer any type of assistance that they can to ensure that the persons can really capitalize.
And all of that comes through and is supported mainly by the Guyana Office for Investment, which has a booth directly opposite where we're standing. In that booth, if you come in, you will be able to see how they have miraculously showed all aspects of Guyana's development and Guyana's sector. We see they have some I guess products that you can see the FPSO, one of the FPSOs leading into the gas to shore project, showing that there is a massive investment in agriculture, not just by the government but by a number of private sector entities, and that is mainly because of Guyana and the region's goal of reducing the food import bill by 25% by 2025. And in order to action that goal and make sure that it happens, we have to have all of those investors come on board and support what we're trying to do here in Guyana. And so if you're one of those investors and you're looking at us and you're wondering how you can get involved, where you can get the information from, of course, I think it's best to reach out to Go Invest. Dr. Ram Sarup spoke with us earlier and spoke about the 10 or more hotels that are coming on stream in the tourism and hospitality sector. We saw just yesterday a massive investment of more than $250 million being poured into a hotel and condominium area on Carifesta Avenue, and that is coupled with the Tourism and Hospitality Institute that was opened in Berbice just some time ago, and it speaks to how fast Guyana's development is moving.
You're talking about tourism, Shakwa, and we're talking about agriculture, and again we always have to mention that under the underlying or the most important fabric of all of that is energy. What are you talking about developing your tourism sector? Because obviously you need stable electricity for hotels and accommodation facilities to run effectively. You were talking about the development in agriculture, attaining the goal of 25 by 2025. Electricity and energy is going to be key to that again, because farmers, for persons who are going to be doing large-scale farming and using technologies in farming, you're talking about having access to energy and reliable energy. If you're looking at branching outside of that in terms of manufacturing and you're talking about agro-processing, then you know that energy and stable energy or reliable energy is going to be important to that as well. So as a region and as a country, and even outside of the CARICOM region, let's go to South America and Latin America, the fact that we are now positioning ourselves to really to build on our energy capacity here in Guyana with ExxonMobil and all our other partners, it's so important that we continue to talk about energy, because energy again is at the forefront of all of that.
And when we look at this exhibition center, more than just it being an opportunity for people to bring in their CVs, it is an opportunity for education as well, and for people to be educated and informed about all of the opportunities available in the oil and gas sector. And when we talk about education, we can recognize that government is placing heavy focus on ensuring that when we develop local content, we develop people's capacity as well. And that is one of the major benefits of the Tourism and Hospitality Institute, but as well the Guyana Academy of Online Learning that has already given out 20,000 scholarships and is hoping to give out more, even though that is past the commitment that was made, to ensure that Guyanese people have the opportunity to be upskilled, have the opportunity to have the education that they need, so that they can participate in this sector. And I think this exhibition can be a spark for a lot of our young people to recognize that there are many opportunities here. You don't necessarily have to be on the oil rig.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to study petroleum engineering. But what you can do is look at all of the other sectors that have to support the oil and gas service and try to see if you can get involved in that.
Yeah.
And through that avenue, I think the exhibition is providing that opportunity for a lot of our young people.
And continue with education, you're talking about that. We've seen the Ministry of Education in itself try to change the direction in terms of some of the courses or curriculums that are offered, types of curriculum that are offered in our schools as well, because that's key. Because if you're going to be building an economy or building a nation where you're giving your young people or people generally an opportunity to work in and outside of the oil and gas industry, you need to start from primary, secondary schools and even our tertiary institutions. And we've been seeing that happening slowly. The ministry have been changing its policies to ensure that they are able to really capture that target audience of people inside in the education sector. You spoke about the training facility in Portmont, which was just recently commissioned, and what role that will play, particularly as it relates to helping our young people being equipped rather with the type of skills that is needed to grab those opportunities that exist. We've got the goal, like you mentioned, you got University of Guyana, and you have so many opportunities. Young people cannot say that there are not opportunities for growth and for development or for upskilling to be able to capitalize on those opportunities.
Right, and the conference itself will look to ensure that young people have a space in everything that is happening. In fact, I think it's just about day 4. There's going to be a student engagement session where students from across the country, and I think that will include students of the University of Guyana as well, who will have an opportunity for all of this information to be broken down, for them to be able to understand those areas and sit in a conference session where they can ask questions and have a better understanding generally of all that is going on. And so, of course, what you were seeing just a few moments ago was His Excellency leading a team, Lyndon, at the exhibition center there just a few moments ago, walking through the exhibition center, getting some explanations on how some of the things work, maybe offering some advice on how they can continue to develop their product here in Guyana. And of course, this is open from today all until the 22nd.
Yeah, and for those folks who are looking to get into the exhibition area, you come down to the Marriott Hotel about 1 p.m. today, and you will be given that opportunity to interact with about 200 exhibitors there, from some 21 countries outside of Guyana. You've got 19 companies that are here outside of the oil and gas industry, talk about supply chain, they'll talk about logistics and transportation. A friend of mine, if I may, Shaquan, messaged me last evening, just recently got an opportunity to start his own transportation service. And he's here today being featured. A very young man who, very ambitious, looking for opportunities, and he has one of the booths here at the Marriott Hotel today. And I'm so proud of him being given that opportunity. And like him, there are opportunities available for other people.
Shout him out so people can come and see his service.
Joseph, I'm trying to remember his transportation service name, but I think it's Joseph is his name. He used to drive for RT, actually, was an RT driver, and then branched off, and now has his own transportation service, and he's here today.
Yeah, but that speaks specifically to the opportunities that are available and how the government is preparing, even as we would like to say, the small man, for the opportunities for themselves. You know, being able to invest in a transportation service, recognizing the importance of transportation and logistics, and ensuring, of course, that people have the opportunities to play a role in all that is happening here.
Of course, and you and I've been talking extensively about all those opportunities and what people can do to ensure that they capitalize. For me, this is the best place to be. If you're looking to really get into, oil and gas industry or even supply chain, there's no better place like this. And that is why these types of events are organized, particularly this oil and gas, the Expo here and Supply Chain Expo. That's why it's organized, because you give people the opportunity to really interface with the people who matters, the people who you are looking to work in their companies or to maybe invest, or you're looking for investors in maybe one of your businesses. This is the place to be. A small business like you mentioned, like the transportation service that is provided by Joseph. He can find investors here in Guyana who would possibly be looking to expand his business, because there's so many opportunities available in logistics and transport with ExxonMobil and all these other companies that are here. And that is, for me, if you are looking to really capitalize on those opportunities, Marriott Hotel, you got to be here.
Marriott Hotel is the place to be. February 19 to 22. Of course, you can come down here. The exhibition is going to be open from 1 p.m. this afternoon.
and thereafter I think it opens at 9 a.m. every day. Persons can come over and see all of the things that are available, the opportunities that are available, like you mentioned, not just to get a job, but to recognize how you can
grow your business,
grow your own business, start your own business even, and create the networks that are available for you to continue to do that. And I think if nothing else, that is one of the biggest things that are available. I see even in my eyesight right now, Mr. Floyd Haynes, who is the owner of the New Haven Merchant Bank, who started his business just a few years ago, but gives the opportunity for other people to have the capital that they need, the finance that they need to start their businesses. In fact, I believe that he started a small and micro enterprise fund just a few months ago. And so that is in an effort to ensure that the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses, have the capital that they need, the access to the finance that they need to grow their businesses. And all of those people are right here at the Marriott Hotel at the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo.
And you were talking about all those opportunities that are available. This Supply Chain and Expo is even larger than the ones that we've had before. So which means that the opportunities are greater and the most significant opportunities to be had. If you're a business owner, a small business owner, you're a little entrepreneur just getting started and you want to be able to get financing like you mentioned, you've got banks that are here as well. They got their services. So you can be able to interact with those people who, will have the resources to be able to grow your business. You're looking for investors, somebody to partner with from North America, from Europe, from Latin America and the Caribbean, they're right here. If you're looking for a job, persons are right here. You bring your CVs, you come by, and those opportunities are here. But as we look in the lobby area, we know that we have the conference, which is coming up as well in later on today, and then throughout the next coming days as well. You've got so many delegates that are here. Based on what I saw on the website, I saw that was 2 days ago. I saw 400 and something delegates already registered. I'm talking about international delegates that have registered. So you've got some 21 countries featured in terms of the exhibition, but you've got over 400 delegates from outside of Guyana that are here participating in the conference, which means that's a wealth of information and knowledge that's going to be shared. And you're talking about networking is going to be key, because if you're looking to grow your business, you just might find somebody who's doing the same thing like you in North America, in Europe, in Latin America, or even in the Caribbean. And that in itself creates an opportunity for you to grow your business, but you have enhanced knowledge, so to speak, of how you can do so.
And that is what these conferences offer. The opportunity to network, the opportunity to get to meet people, recognize who can support your growth, who can support your development. And that is why I think it's important for that idea that conferences like these are for the big boys is really not the reality of the situation, because like you mentioned, you have a friend who started off at RT and now has his own business. What separates him from anybody else, you know? And I think, of course, those opportunities are available to anybody that would like to have those opportunities right here in Guyana. And of course, those tickets are available for the exhibition center. You can come in, you can pay that amount.
Just $1,000.
Just $1,000. You can come in and pay that amount and be able to get that information there. If you're just watching us, we're here at the Marriott Hotel, of course, at the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo. What is happening right now? We just had His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali have a conversation, and I have with me one of the persons who will be participating in this event today, Mr. Robert Singh, who is the operations manager. Now tell us a little bit about your business and of course what your service has to offer.
I'm representing Titan Energy. We offer logistics for the oil and gas. We currently operate in the Caribbean. We have our main office in Trinidad, and we started operation in Suriname also. And we've had our presence in Guyana for quite over 2 years. We work on the major project, which is the Saipan Pipeline project. We've managed the Liza 2 and the Payara. So we're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about why your company is here today at the Energy Conference. What made you guys come here?
We're here to take part in the conference. Of course, meet potential clients and offer our services. Like I said, we're going to be here 2 years now, and I think we need to be hard a little more.
And why do you think conferences like these are important for companies like yours?
It is important not just for companies like ours, but for the general all the companies, because at the presentation that the president just did, it was very informative based on interaction with other members. Because like he said, everybody was just asking why just build bridges and roads. He did a large overview of why. So it's very informative.
Yeah. So tell the people before you go how people can get to you, how they can reach out to Titan Energy Guyana Inc.
We have an office in Promenade Street, and you could always reach out to me. My phone number is 623-2061. So we'd be willing to help you, not just the oil and gas. We can also help private businesses, and we can advise you on how to do logistics.
Yeah. Mr. Singh, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. Thank you so much. You've heard from Mr. Robert Singh, who, of course, is representing Titan Energy Guyana Inc.
Yes.
Just one of those companies, of course, that is participating in Guyana's oil and gas industry. One of the companies that had the opportunity to expand and diversify here in Guyana. And of course, you mentioned that this company started off and had some activities in Trinidad as well, and are now moving to Guyana?
In Trinidad and in Suriname. And thanks to the network, we currently ship weekly to Suriname via the ferry service.
Okay. That's what's happening.
It's a good synergy.
Mr. Singh, thank you so much for spending some time with us. If you're just joining us, we're here at the Marriott Hotel. You can see on your screen one of the steel pans displaying, of course, our culture, displaying the opportunities that exist here in Guyana through culture, through sport, and of course through education. All of that happening here in Guyana. We of course want to be able to share with you a lot more of that information. Lyndon, I spoke just now with one of the guys there, and he was explaining how his company had the opportunity to expand in Guyana after being in Trinidad for a number of years.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about conferences like these. For stories where you would not have heard about them before, this Supply Chain Expo gives persons an opportunity to know exactly what is happening, particularly as it relates to the oil and gas industry, and even in the supply chain. And now I'm pleased to be joined by Dr. Vishnu Durga, and he's the chairman of Action Invest Guyana Incorporated. Hello, how are you doing?
Thank you very much. Doing really well.
All right, so you're here today. Tell us a little bit about Action Invest Guyana Incorporated.
Well, Action Invest Caribbean, we focus heavily on business development services. We have two offices in Guyana, 2 offices in Suriname, and we work with companies across the Caribbean and then also further afield. Our goal is really to make sure that companies that are coming into Guyana really get that level of support that allows them to get started quickly. The faster companies start here, the faster we create employment, the faster we are able to offer products and services. So our job is just to accelerate growth.
Yeah, I was asking you a little while ago before you got on here about how different is your job compared to what Go Invest does. I mean, you're telling me that you work particularly in the private sector area.
Yeah, well, I have served as vice chair of Go Invest in the past. I've done over the past 25 years. We've served a lot across the public and private sector. But, in 2014, I thought I really want to be able to work directly with companies. And that's when we got started. And what we do basically is almost like the private sector side of Go Invest, where we take companies that want to really get started and we work with them directly, help them get past all the hurdles, all the requirements, so that they can get the operation much faster.
How important is conferences like these, particularly as it relates to your organization? Because for me, I'm thinking of it as maybe it's an opportunity for you to scope out those investors from North America, from Europe, and from Latin America and the Caribbean. Other investors that you can potentially see a fit here in Guyana.
Yeah, well, you can be the best company in the country, but if nobody knows that you exist, they will never find you. So one of the key things that is very important is that you have to be in the places where you can easily be found. And we have 2 booths here. We have one with Action Invest Caribbean. We have one for the Suriname Guyana Chamber of Commerce, of which I'm the current chair. And our job is to make sure that we're easily found so that people can understand what we can do for them. And also for us to better understand what's happening with them. What challenges are they facing? What are they looking for? And I would encourage anyone, especially the folks who are thinking about visiting here over the next 3 days or so, 3-4 days, to take that opportunity, come meet with the movers and shakers in Guyana, understand what the opportunities are. You don't want to be sitting on the sideline hoping for things to go well. If get involved.
Yeah, you know, there are a lot of persons out there who may be looking to start up their own businesses. You know, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur because of many opportunities are available in the oil and gas industry. But we've got some 19 companies that are here that will be featuring supply service or the supply chain type services here in Guyana. How important is that for people to understand that there are opportunities outside of the oil and gas industry, and what role does your company play, particularly as relates to that?
Well, first things first, if you are thinking about entrepreneurship, make sure that you've been a really good intrapreneur. And an intrapreneur is really someone who is able to use their entrepreneurial behavior within an organization. So before you've left and gone and done something on your own, because sometimes people leave their organizations, good organizations, and then they struggle. You know, the statistic is that 80% of them actually fail within the first 5 years. So we don't want that to happen. And in Guyana as well, we have so many jobs that are now available in the oil and gas sector, but also in construction and agriculture, that I believe if someone is just looking for you know, better income level, better conditions, there's so many opportunities. So take a look at that first. However, if you are looking at starting up your own business because you think that what you can bring to the table does not exist as yet, or you could do it so much better, then being at the supply chain component of this expo is very important because it tells you what is needed, and the companies are very helpful. We have grown massively over the past 10 years. Because we sat with these companies and asked them, well, what do you need? When we apply, we don't get through. Tell me what we need to improve. And then we went back and we did our homework, and now we're very successful working with many of these companies. So if you are considering becoming an entrepreneur and getting yourself up to speed, it's a good place to be to check out to see, hey, do I really have what it takes?
Thank you so much. That's Dr. Vishnu Durga, Chairman of Action Invest Guyana, and of course Caribbean Inc. as well, for talking to us this morning. Wish you the best as it relates to the conference. I know you're going to be participating as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great. So you're talking about all the opportunities available here in Guyana as it relates to, you know, not just supply chain or even in the oil and gas industry. The Marriott Hotel is definitely the place to be, and you're going to be interacting with over about 200 exhibitors thereabout, and obviously you're going to be getting those opportunities to interact with persons in the supply chain as well, so that you can really capitalize on opportunities. Shaquan, I know that you're going to be talking to somebody else for a little while from now.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed your interview just now with Vishnu Durga, and of course, those conversations are the conversations that we have to continue having here at the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo. Joining me now on set is the Minister of Public Works, the Honorable Bishop Juan Edgell. Minister Edgell, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You had the opportunity to sit in this morning in the conference. Tell me a little bit about what that was like and some of the major things that you think came out of that.
Well, the fact that the Energy Conference is here again should bring the attention of every Guyanese into a greater understanding of what the oil and gas sector will do for Guyana. Sometimes we only think about the oil money. President Ali this morning opened up in some very clear ways, and I would recommend everyone to go back and have a second listen to President Ali's presentation, because it justifies, give reason, and make clear for everyone to understand why we are going in a particular direction and where we will be 10, 15 years from now, and how the individual, the household, and country will benefit. I was extremely appreciative as well for the various other speeches from Prime Minister Rowley and the others who spoke, putting in context what is happening in the Caribbean, the need for partnerships while we need to collaborate. The Secretary General, Dr. Carla Barnett, in her presentation, highlighted some of the challenges we face and how we could work together, and while we are working together, how we could overcome them. But showcasing Guyana to the world is something that is very important. And we are very candid and transparent about our intentions. We want to move tourism forward. We want to expand agriculture. We want Guyana to serve as a hub of connectivity between the Caribbean and South America, not just in terms of air traffic, But in terms of our marine possibilities, we want to supply the food to fill the markets in northern Brazil, in Suriname, in the Caribbean, all the way to the DNR, Dominican Republic. We want to be able to expand the possibility for downstream, upstream services that will come with oil and gas, and how that possibility will bring energy security to the rest of our networking here, and of course as we continue further afield. So I think today is an important milestone in getting the correct points across, stimulating thought. Those who have not yet come down to the Energy Expo, come, see, engage, listen, let your thinking be amplified, get a greater grasp. I was happy that I saw a number of students. I had an opportunity to discuss with the sixth form students from QC, and it was nice engaging with them. I want to see more students come down here as well. They're the future. We can't just keep saying it. They are the future. And when they appreciate why we do what we're doing, it will help them to appreciate why they need to do what they're doing in terms of studying, getting into specialized fields, moving out from the norm of just some streams of endeavors, and understanding that Guyana's future is wide, it's deep, and in many areas it is specialized. So we need students to be preparing for that. So I'm excited about what is happening here.
Minister Edgell, one of the things that, of course, is important to be spoken about, we talk a lot about oil and gas, but what is sometimes not understood is the role that public infrastructure plays in expanding our economy through all of these areas. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts in relation to that.
There's no part of the world that you could have development without infrastructural development and structural layout. And President Ali made it very clear. If we're going to get the natural liquid gas for cooking to northern Brazil, we still got to get the roads and the bridges to get across there. You want to get the fertilizers that we need to support agriculture in the region. We still got to get the boats that are required. We want to be able to get the expertise in. We got to get the aerodromes, we got to get the airports, we got to be able to develop. So transport infrastructure is key for development. For example, if we're building out new hospitals, we got to get the doctors there, we got to get the ambulances to get there, we got to get the roads. If you're diversifying agriculture, going into aquaculture, swamp shrimp, and you're going into high profile or high end shade house agriculture, you need to get to your shade house, get your crops, you need to get it to the market. We need to get the cargo flights to get them to the destination so they could get on the tourist boats in the Caribbean. So transport infrastructure, whether it's roads, air, or marine, is very, very important. And what we are doing is laying out that framework of connectivity, creating possibilities, because if products are going to be spoiled, because the shelf life in terms of the tomatoes and the cauliflower and the broccoli, once they're reaped, they got to get to where they got to go. We have to have the connectivity. So we have to put that in place. When we reap all the items that are needed for the feed, to make poultry feed, we don't want the birds dying because we don't have a road that could bring the soybean and corn to the mill to get the feed done. So these are just some layman's examples that I'm giving to let people understand that put politics aside. Roads, bridges, deep water harbors, shore bases, aerodromes, airports are important for the transformation and modernization of any country. And we have a vision, a master plan that we are working with, and the things that we're doing are installments that get us where we want to be. Everything is not being done now, but certainly we are laying the framework for the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. And then we're all going to look back and say, I'm really proud of being Guyanese, and this place is really nice. Guyana's a real place.
Yeah, it is a real place. And Guyana is a nice place.
A nice place, too.
Minister Edgell, thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing those thoughts with us this morning.
So, those who haven't yet made up their mind to come down, I would urge you, come and see, come and participate, and come and hear what is happening.
Thank you so much, Minister. You've heard from the Minister of Public Works, the Honorable Bishop Juan Edgell, speaking to us about the importance of public works, the importance of public infrastructure in building out the connectivity that we need so that Guyana can continue to prosper and Guyana can continue to develop. A lot of those conversations continue to happen here at the Marriott Hotel at the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo. Linda and I had the opportunity to speak with Minister Edgell, and he had the opportunity to explain a lot about the public infrastructure that is important for Guyana's continued development.
Yeah, and we've been seeing that, Shaquan, we've heard the comments from people who are coming into Guyana, Guyanese of all walks of life, irrespective of which region you are. We've been seeing what's happening all across the country, and we've got some projects that are currently underway, and President Ali alluded to some of those as well, particularly the project, the Lethem Road that is being built right now, the road to Brazil rather, and how that in itself will be able to help in terms of trade between Guyana and Brazil. We see the Lethem Road being done as well, that road from Linden to Mabura, how that will certainly help in terms of getting goods and services out from those communities as well. You're talking about the road on the west side, Crane to Schooner, you're talking about the Harbour Bridge, the Demerara Harbour Bridge, and how that will be able to help in terms of, you know, really moving goods and services across the regions as well, Shaquan.
Yeah, and talking about doing that, we have the Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Zulfikar Musaf. I think, Linden, you're going to have a conversation with him.
Yeah, so Minister, it's certainly a pleasure for us to be talking to you this morning, but I know that you have been at the forefront pushing Guyana's agenda, particularly as it relates to agriculture. But let us talk a little bit about the synergy between agriculture and energy, and because I know that we're looking to diversify, but even our agro-processors as well, how they will benefit from conferences like these.
You heard the President would have put out all the policy this morning in his speech, and I am very elated to listen to his speech this morning. He has mapped out the entire process, what we'll be doing, how we'll use the oil and gas sector to benefit the agriculture sector. And gone are the days now when we will only be a primary producing country. We want to ensure that we have value added. We want to ensure that we have manufacturing. We want to ensure that we become a food hub, not only to produce primary product, but a food hub to produce all the product. And what the President would have spelled out this morning with the coming into being of the gas to shore energy project, that will help us tremendously in agro-processing. You know, for a fact, over the last 3 years, we have tried as much as possible to build these agro-processing facilities right across the country. But because of power supply and the cost for electricity, sometimes it's becoming very expensive. Now, I am hoping by the end of this year, early next year, our agro-processors in the country will have cheaper, but more importantly, reliable power, so that we can have more value-added product. Because Guyana is well placed to ensure that we produce food and we distribute food not only in the Caribbean, but in South America, because the geographic position we occupy, we are a very important country in terms of food to bring food security to the region, right? We have all the ingredients, we have flat and arable land, we have abundant fresh water, and with the coming of energy, making energy more reliable and more secure and more cheaper, Guyana will become a powerhouse in terms of production of food.
You know, you talk about Guyana's position here on the South American continent and being that bridge, so to speak, that bridges the gap between the Caribbean and South America. President Ali alluded to the road is being built to access Brazil. We're talking about the deep water port, which is coming on board as well, that he alluded to, and even the bridge across the Quarantine River to Suriname. Tell us a little bit about the opportunities that opens up, particularly as it relates to agriculture.
That will be tremendous, because right now, as I am speaking, we are now constructing a food hub on the highway to link with the state of Roraima. The bridges, the highway there to go to Lethem will be game changer for us in terms of transport or transportation. Then the bridge across the Quarantine River. So from all the way from the state of Roraima right on to Quarantine, it will take only about 2 days, 48 hours. Whereas in Brazil, it take about they are taking roughly about 2 weeks.
Wow!
Right? And imagine we get a deep water harbor, and now we are having all these products and produce coming out of Guyana. What will be Guyana? Guyana position will be enhanced because as I'm speaking now, we are producing 60% of the food that we are consuming.
Wow.
But we are now going to new crops. We want to be self-sufficient next year in producing all the livestock feed in corn and soya. We want to go in and make an industry in aquaculture. As I'm speaking now, we started the construction of ponds for freshwater prawns. Right? We are now doing cage culture. We are doing a number of species of fish here to make aquaculture an industry here.
Yeah.
So generally, Guyana will be producing food in different areas. What we have now, we'll consolidate. The primary product, we will make it value added with the coming of the energy, cheaper in the energy, reliable energy. And I think that our agro-processors, our farmers are in for good times to come in the future.
You know, Minister President Ali and even Dr. Rowley as well alluded to the service. We're talking about the boat service between Guyana and Trinidad and Barbados. I'm wondering, again, opportunities that opens up, particularly as it relates to the goal of 25 by 2025.
So we have already started to work with Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados in ensuring that we put that system in place, where Guyana will be the chief distributor of food coming out from this part here to go to transport around the Caribbean. And that will help our farmers more because they'll have more opportunities to sell their produce in the Caribbean. As I'm speaking now, I have a very active teams working with Trinidad and Tobago, working with Barbados to remove the non-tariff barriers that used to affect our produce in going into these areas. So I've had discussion with the private sector, with the Minister of Agriculture from both countries, and they are eager to purchase these fresh fruits and vegetables from Guyana. And they are willing to work with us. So what we those barriers that used to affect our produce and go into these countries are being removed now bit by bit. And that is where Guyana, as I said, will be that food hub, a food distributor and food producer that we're talking about.
Minister, before I let you go, one other question. What has been the type of, I guess you're talking about persons from outside of Guyana in terms of investors, the types of attention Guyana has been receiving in the agriculture sector over the past few years. You being at the helm, I know you've also had opportunities to chair several very important committees as well, particularly to agriculture in the Caribbean. What has been the type of attention and traction Guyana has been receiving?
It has been tremendous. As I'm speaking now, we have the largest hydroponics farm in the Caribbean with a private investor, an international investor who invested in Guyana. That is now producing almost 15 different type of leafy vegetables coming out of mango. We have a number of other investors in the livestock industry coming on stream. And what we are doing now, we are partnering Guyanese farmers with international investors to link capital and asset so that we can have this collaboration to increase production. And we have been very successful. And for example, right as I'm speaking to you now, we have an potential investor from Colombia who wants to come to Guyana to start the rearing of almost 1,000 dairy animals and put in a processing plant. So all wrong, not only in the crop sector, not only the aquaculture sector, but the livestock sector, we have been moving a pace also. And this shows Guyana all wrong contribution to the food security in reducing the food import bill. If CARICOM has to be successful, which I am very optimistic that we will be successful, then Guyana will have to be successful in producing the bulk of those commodities that will have been prioritized in the CARICOM ministerial task force that will be reporting to the heads of government next week.
You know, I said one question, I have another question before I let you go. You know, President Ali alluded to the fact that any development in our oil and gas industry here in Ghana would benefit the region. And we're talking about 25 by 2025. How significant is that, particularly as it relates to the Caribbean in itself, being able to meet that goal of 25 by 2025?
But I'm saying that Guyana is making a valuable contribution, but we have seen now in different parts of the Caribbean, places like Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, now they are moving very fast to develop their agriculture sector. Those economies were built on tourism. Now we are seeing agriculture is taking the front burner. For example, this morning I received a video message from the Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. He was elated because last year we would have sold to them 100,000 seed paddy. Now they are reaping that. And they are now resuscitating the whole entire rice industry in Trinidad and Tobago. In Barbados, we are helping them to construct their shade houses and things like that to add to the high-value crops that we talk about in the tuber and root industry, in the tuber and rice root crops. Yeah. We are helping the Eastern Caribbean places like St. Vincent and the Grenadines and St. Lucia. So all around the Caribbean now is looking with enthusiasm to Guyana for that leadership, that guidance. As a matter of fact, the Minister of St. Vincent just yesterday only texted me and said that you need some technical person from Guyana to go and help them to continue the development. Wow. So we are not only producing, but we are sharing our experience, we are sharing our technical knowledge, and we are helping the region to develop the important sector to create food security and build food security.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much. That's Minister Zulfikar Mustafa there, Minister of Agriculture, talking to us about some of the developments in agriculture here in Guyana. Minister, wishing you the best. I know you're at the helm. You're always out in the communities, interacting, meeting with folks, and wishing you and your team the very best as you look to roll out your massive plans for this year as well, because I know you've got an increased allocation in the budget this year as well.
Thank you very much.
Great. That's Minister of Agriculture, Minister Zulfikar Mustafa, talking to us there as it relates to some of the things that are happening in agriculture. You know, and I mentioned again, there's a synergy between agriculture and energy security here in Guyana. Shaquan is about to join me again. Shaquan, very interesting conversation with Minister Mustafa, particularly as it relates to developments in agriculture.
Yeah, I know that Minister Mustafa has been doing extensive work in ensuring that we reach that 25% by 2025, the region's food import bill hoping to be reduced, and I think that's very important. But one of the things that we're also encouraging, Linden, is ensuring that these international companies from across the world participate in our development. Recently we saw the auction of several oil blocks, and I think one of the members of the company will be speaking with me in just a few moments. She is the CEO, the executive chairman of one of those companies, and I know that she's going to explain to us a lot about how they are supporting the work that is happening here in Guyana and how they're bringing their expertise. But not just that, but ensuring that there is a local content, or the employees there are of course from Guyana as well. And so
thank you.
In just a few moments, coming on screen is a representative of Cybel Energy. Cybel Energy? Yes. Cybel Energy, the executive chairman. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
This morning. And you're from Ghana, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So tell me a little bit about Cybel Energy.
Cybel Energy is an upstream exploration company, and so we are looking to do exploration work in Guyana, and we're highly committed and excited to participate in the conference.
Now tell me a little bit about your thoughts on the conference so far. Why did you guys decide to come down?
Well, we're working in Guyana, and we had applied for the last bid round of the oil blocks, and we were awarded one. So we're committed to Guyana. We would bring in our resources, our technology, our people to participate with the leadership to make sure that Guyana gets the best in class. And
go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. No, the conference I think is really, really well organized, and it's attracted a lot of great people in industry and great companies, but it's been quite seamless. I think there's nothing that's not been thought of in this conference. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are here already, but there are some people that are still thinking about whether or not they should come. What advice would you give to those people that are still thinking?
I think for people who are serious about doing business in Guyana or in the CARICOM region, Guyana is the place to watch. Guyana would be the leader, and it's important to come in, to network, to get to understand the heartbeat and the vision for the Guyanese people by the Guyanese government. It's extremely serious, and I think when you have a serious leadership, it really is a good platform for industry, for companies, that want to participate, grow local content, develop, and a true partnership with the country and the people.
Yeah, and of course I know Cybele has been playing a very, very good role, and we're happy that of course you are here to support the work happening here. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Any other words you'd like to share before you go?
I think on my part, I just wish blessings upon this land. It's a beautiful country, the agronomy, the natural resources, and I cannot overemphasize the amazing leadership, because when we went through the bid round process, everything was so organized, and we've worked in different countries, but this is the one place whereby what you needed was accessible. It was seamless. There was communication was fluid, and so make Guyana continue to be the beacon light that it has emerged to be, and I know that this country is the one to watch.
Ms. Mensah-Tawi, thank you so much for spending some time with us and discussing that with us.
Thank you.
You've heard from the Chief Executive Officer, the Executive Chairman there of Cybele Energy, sharing her thoughts on Guyana's extensive work that we've been doing in the oil and gas sector. Of course, she spoke about the seamless transitions that actually were presented in relation to the bid round that was just concluded, where several oil blocks were auctioned for the continued development and for the continued expansion of those oil blocks. And so we're going to see Guyana continue to develop and continue to expand with the oil and gas sector as that continues to push a lot of the other work that is ongoing. Now, Lyndon, I just had the opportunity to speak with Cybele Energy. Yeah. They just received one of the oil blocks, and now they're working towards bringing that to full development. And she mentioned that the auction round that took place just a few months ago was one of the most seamless transactions that the company has ever had to do, and they've been doing work in many countries. So that speaks about the effort and the work that goes into ensuring these things work for all of these international companies.
Yeah, and the ease of doing business, because again, you're talking about investors coming in. You know, there's a lot of red tape sometimes that you have to go through as an investor or somebody who's not from a particular country. And the fact that you have somebody who mentioned how seamless the process is really remarkable. I like the fact that you got women at the forefront. You know, we've got a lot of our advocates for, you know, for equality, and the fact that we've got our women folk who should be capitalizing on these opportunities for in the oil and gas industry. And we're seeing the government create that platform that allows that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just one of many things happening here in Guyana. But I know that you have some other conversations.
Yeah, we got the folks coming to talk to us about Brava. So we got some folks from Brava, Guyana. They're going to be talking to us. We got a CEO of Brava as well, global. So we're going to learn a little bit of what that is and how that works. So for those GTT customers who are, you know, you may have your own business and you want to know how to be able to use services, upgraded services rather than GTT Business Solutions, we've got some folks who are going to be joining me on set now. I've got Mr. Erson Ferguson. He's the COO of Brava Guyana. But we also have Mr. Connor McGowan, the CEO of Brava as well. So let's talk a little bit about Brava. I brought Mr. Connor McGowan. Start off with you. Tell us a little bit about Brava and how that works.
Yeah, great question. Really excited to launch Brava in Guyana today. I've been coming to Guyana for 6 years now, working closely with Orson and the GTT team. And really the simplest way to describe Brava, it's a new way of doing business in Guyana. It's built over the GTT network that you know and love. We've invested hundreds of millions into that fiber and mobile network over the last 5-6 years, and what we're noticing now is that our customers just want more by way of technology. They want more by way of cloud services, cybersecurity services. So really what Brava is the evolution of that for us to provide those simple business solutions to the Guyana nation.
Yeah, and as the developing economy, so to speak, you have a lot more of those small businesses that are going to be coming on board and looking for business solutions. Is it that your company offers people the opportunity to maybe network with other companies who would have use your solutions, so to speak, or your software, and they can be able to know what works and what doesn't?
Yeah, 100%. I think the way we've kind of structured this is it's fit for purpose for every type of business. So anything from the smallest SMB customer to the largest oil and gas customer, we have a solution and we have an offering for them. And you'll notice today we're officially launching. You'll see a lot of information coming out about Brava, but exactly that. We want to provide our Microsoft partnerships, our AWS, Fortinet partnerships. We want to provide them in simple, reliable solutions. But you're dead right. All of those relationships will now be available to the Guyana public as of today, as we launch.
Yeah, and you guys have been operating for a number of years. You mentioned you've been coming to Guyana, I guess, in the hope of developing or getting to this point. What have you heard over the years, given the fact that your services are being used in so many countries around the world? What have you heard from persons who subscribed and using your service?
I think the key thing, like I was listening to President Ali this morning, and even the conferences around digital transformation and the modernization. So really what we've focused in Guyana is there's so much growth here. It's such an exciting place to be. Even in the 6 years that I've been coming here, it's to make our solutions fit for purpose to solve those requirements. It's all around simplicity, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I'll bring in Urson Ferguson, the CEO of Brava Guyana. Tell us a little bit how this works and how does it apply to the Guyanese market.
Well, as Connor said, we've been serving this market for the past 30 years or so under the GTT umbrella. We've created a new division in GTT Business Solutions dedicated solely to support small and medium-sized businesses all the way up to enterprise and government customers. This is an evolution of that journey, merging, working closely with the Brava family, meaning the other ATN properties around the Caribbean and North America, benefiting from their expertise and taking that expertise and delivering it to local businesses, right? So what we've been seeing is as the market evolved and as our customers became more and their operations became more complex, they required solutions that we really needed to be able to deliver quickly and seamlessly for them. We've traditionally relied on the regional relationships that we've had. We're just crystallizing those relationships now so that we can quickly and effectively and efficiently deliver those solutions to small and medium-sized and enterprise customers. And that's what we've been doing for the past 15 to 30 years in terms of that evolution. And we expect that this is just going to help us to deliver those solutions at a very, very rapid pace.
Yeah, for those folks who are listening, watching us at home, and they may want to be able to capitalize on those opportunities, how does that work, particularly here in the Guyanese context? How does it work?
Right, so right now, 80 to 90% of the businesses in this country use our services, right? We don't expect that to change. What we're going to be doing is that existing customers who use those solutions, they automatically become Brava Club members, right? For those customers who do not use our solutions or the new solutions, for example, managing networks, cybersecurity kinds of products, we'll be actually reaching out to those customers over the next weeks and months to be able to start that conversation about, hey, how do you get prepared to start managing your networks better? How do you get prepared to start protecting your networks better? We are positioned, like I said, to be able to have those conversations with those customers and to deliver those solutions at pace. So that is what's going to be happening over the next weeks and months within 2024.
Okay, Mr. McGowan, I'll bring you back in again. There may be companies that offer similar services to what you are offering. What is it that sets Brava apart from all those other companies?
I think I won't speak of the competition, but I will speak of what we said there is evolution and simplicity. And I think to Orson, in addition to his leadership role here in Guyana, is also a key member of our international team, as he mentioned, as we launch these services across the Caribbean and beyond. But I think the key thing that we looked at, we built these services in the way that customers want to consume them rather than the way we would like to deliver them. So what we're really excited today in launching Brava is it's way more than just a brand launch. These services are ready, they're simple, they're easy to consume, they're good value, and then we do have the industry experts behind the scenes that are able to get us in, as Orson said, deliver these services like our internet at ultra-fast speeds.
Yeah. Listen, gentlemen, it sounds fascinating. Thank you for talking to me, Mr. Orson Ferguson, and of course, Connor McGowan as well. Thank you. Wishing you guys the very best. I know today's a launch. Hopefully folks at home, when they come by, they can visit your booths. You guys do have some booths here as well.
We do indeed. We have a booth, and the website's now live, www.brava.solutions.
All right, great. So that's it. There you got Urson Ferguson and Connor McGowan talking to us about Brava and some of the services that you can have access to here in Guyana once it becomes operational. And we've been talking to you for the past few hours here at the Marriott Hotel. It's the Oil and Gas Expo, and we're talking about the Supply Chain and Expo here at the Marriott Hotel. Of course, the exhibition area has been open. For those folks who are looking to come by to the Marriott Hotel, you can come by at 1 p.m. You'll have have access to the exhibition area. You pay $1,000 and you can be able to interact with over 188 exhibitors. And of course, you got some 19 of them outside of the oil and gas industry in terms of supply chain. You can have those opportunities. Bring by your CVs and you can be able to interact with those folks who may have possibly have a job for you in the oil and gas industry, outside of the oil and gas industry. So on behalf of Shaquan, Gil, and of course Michaela, who was with him earlier, we certainly want to thank you for joining us throughout the past few hours as we brought you live coverage of the opening ceremony of the Oil and Gas Conference and Expo, the Supply Chain and Expo here at the Marriott Hotel. We trust that you have a fantastic rest of your day. And of course, you can stay tuned to the National Communications Network for further updates as the conference and Expo continues until Wednesday.